change that. I think we're about to go live. We might be live. Hold on. I can't fix that setting right now, Marilyn. I don't know why. Oh, there it is. Show non-video
It's
participant.
okay.
I got you now. I got you. We are actually broadcasting. Oh, hello. Well, hello.
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 Hi. This is the Saturday service. It doesn't start formally with a thing, apparently. So, good morning.
That's good to know.
Yeah. I am joined live with a group of people. Let me spotlight all those people. There are some of the people. So people, and they're still joining in. Wave and say hi. I'm going to switch back to the screen where we see me. There I am. I can still see you guys. You don't have to wave anymore. Thank you. Unless that was like half of applause. Okay. I had a question to start with. First, good morning. The question to start with is, if I look back there, I see my diplomas. And, oh, that's right. I'm getting another one, which is very exciting. I will have it framed, and then I will lean it in the stack of diplomas that are behind me, leaning up against the wall. And
don't nail them down.
Well, so I haven't, and I wanted to start with a question of, it's kind of like art symbolism, but like, what does it mean? I intentionally did not put those up on the wall. This was not an accident. The view you're seeing right now is not accidental. This was planned. I could have put the diplomas on the wall. I have the technology. I do. But I didn't. I liked the statement of the stained glass lamp, crazy ass stained glass, beautiful stained glass lamp that I made, in front of these diplomas that are intentionally just sitting there. Why? What does it say? And there's no wrong answer to it. There's interpretive. But I know the message I intended for it to say. Can you? Uh-oh. What does it say to you? Aaron, I don't know if you're trying to answer you or just make... Gord, go ahead.
I don't know. You're as proud of something beautiful you made with your own hands as you are of accreditation that some external body gives you.
That sounds pretty on the money.
You still acknowledge the accomplishment, but you don't make that the center of your life. And it's not, look at me, look at me.
Right. Exactly.
You shine the value of education. Put light on the value of education.
I do. I value education there, right? It would mean something else if I had pictures drawn by my children.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anything else about the right? I intentionally don't do a blurred background because to me it feels like that's not as upfront and honest. If you need to see that there's a little bit of a mess here too. I'm trying for upfront and honest. So here's the next question. What does it say that we're in a religious service run by a rabbi who ain't using Hebrew, and we haven't been mentioning the God word? What is that? The same way that the diploma is being framed, I value it, it's important, but not nailed to the wall. It ain't the thing. That says something. It says something that a rabbi is running a service and we're not doing a traditional liturgy. What does that say to you?
Good question.
Thank you, Michael.
For me.
I have answers of what it says. But I'm hella curious of what the answers are that you have. Also, let me take a break, and I'll come back to that question because apparently it's taken a moment for us to think about. And then I lost the tangent I was about to go on. So forget about that. But hey, you didn't know the tangent I was going on, so let me just go with another one while I'm there. No, okay. Let's come back. Oh, here, I can show you this. I am, we got this in the mail, folks. I'll read it to you. It says this. It says, official certificate indicating and attesting. It's both indicating and attesting, so you know it's really important. It says, official certificate indicating and attesting religion outside the box's Saturday service has fulfilled all ritual requirements and may hereby worship in the method of their choice.
Amen.
And then it's signed by me, which is a little weird if you're not used to the system, but that's how it makes it official.
Read it again.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm going to read it.
Well, all this is telling me that there are forces in the world that are somewhere that are going toward more honesty.
Oh. Did we all get what Betsy was saying?
Yep.
Tell me if you didn't get what Betsy was saying, because I'd love to repeat it anyhow.
You can repeat it.
That there are forces in the world that are going towards more honesty.
Right? That what are we learning from this whole thing is that, hey, you, as part of watching this, me as part of running it, are part of a group that are fostering open honesty. That's pretty cool. Right? I'm totally open and honest and tell you we won this certificate. We got it. We did all the prayers we needed to do that exempt us. We don't have to do the Baruch Hu anymore. It's a really traditional Hebrew prayer. It's been done enough times is what this says. It's been done enough times. We don't have to do that anymore. So you might wonder that those other synagogues that are still doing the Baruch Hu, they didn't get this certificate yet. So that's why they have to keep doing the same service every single week.
Or maybe they choose to.
Well, they might also choose to, Rags, but they didn't. I don't think they got one of these.
No, I'm thinking they got it and
they
said,
might
okay.
have, because on the backside it says you can. I don't know what that means, but that was on this piece of paper when I picked it up. I mean, when they mailed it to me.
Who mailed it to you?
Them.
Yes.
Anonymous.
Yeah.
They, them.
They them. Oh, that's a perfect transition. Oh, yay. Okay, wait. Are we close enough to buttoned up
It's
about
getting
that?
a little cryptic, though. It's getting a little cryptic.
Okay, so
you better be careful.
We're down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a rabbi hole.
Yeah. Okay, that feels a little personal
no.
and possibly invasive if we're talking about a rabbi.
It was
But let's just all, that was kind of funny. Well played group. I feel like I'm blushing. That's good.
Good.
Wait. So the they them hole. Let's go there for a second. I sent out an article and I asked in the article, I said, hey, I just got my honorary doctorate. Show of hands, how many of you saw that article? So what am I responding to? Okay. So I sent out an article and it said, it was called They Them, the title of the article. And I said in it, hey, I just got my doctorate, my honorary doctorate. I don't have the certificate yet. And we could go down a deep rabbit hole of, am I really an honorary doctor if I don't have the certificate? That's, without the certificate, how do I prove I'm a doctor? I have the degree. I got myself lost there for a second. Hold on.
Well, it's pretty clear the kind of degree you got.
Yeah, the honor.
I got one of those too.
Yeah.
So what were the conditions that you were given it for?
For not having died.
Basically, I'm still working as a rabbi.
Good job. Yes.
Well, they had, as we know, they had some questions about my still working as a rabbi, but it was considered goodly enough. Wait.
Definitely.
Now I'm coming back. Oh, the they them thing. So I wrote about, as I just got the honorary doctorate, and please don't start calling me Drabbi, Dr. Rabbi Brian. And that was about as effective of telling a 2.5-year-old not to put beans in their ears. So I got plenty of emails referring to me as Drabbi and Drabrian and DRRB. It was lovely, lovely. I think nicknames are a sign of care and love, so I appreciate that.
I'll have to keep that in mind.
But I didn't ask anyone, so there's a playfulness to it, and I think that's going to be important here. We get boy, do we get so fucking serious. Excuse my language. We get so fucking serious about pronouns. And why? And I think they're really important, but we don't have to be all butthurt about it. I feel like I got a little overly emotional there. Let me dial it back for a sec. If I ask you to call me Dr. Rabbi, I'm going to bet that most all of you would call me Dr. Rabbi because I asked you to.
Okay.
No.
If I asked you to, and our friendship would take a different turn, it would be a little weird. I have a little friend who decided they no longer wanted to be called, I'm going to change the name, they no longer wanted to be called Marissa, they wanted to be called Molly. And everyone was like, fine, Marissa will call you Molly. Except for Marissa's dad, who gave Marissa the Marissa name, who insists on calling Marissa Marissa. Or he insists on calling Molly Marissa. But it's just not nice. It doesn't matter if you approve of what it's going to do to your linguistics, your precious language, and having to make a compromise of using a plural form of a verb with a singular, what you understand?
The other way around.
Yeah. You call someone by the pronouns that they asked to be called by because it's good manners. That's it. Any questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry, that really came off a lot harsher than I was thinking it was going to come.
I was going to say, I think if you're trying to confuse me, it's working.
How's that, Bob? Can you tell me the last thing you remember?
Me?
Yeah, how'd I confuse you? How'd I confuse you?
I don't know. I think I forgot it already.
Okay. So let me try bringing it back then. So Bob, when you and I are pre-service and we're chatting with people and my camera goes off, instead of you saying his camera went off, I'm asking if you say their camera turned off.
I would say, Brian, your camera turned off.
Great. But if my camera were off and you had to explain to Alex whose camera was off,
Brian's camera was off.
That's a beautiful way of making it work. I appreciate it. Thank you, Bob.
Well, you're welcome.
Okay.
They mean the same.
Was there another thought, comment? We all right?
Clarify for me, would you? Because my memory is not as good as it never was. But do me a favor and clarify the meaning of the, we, they, whatever, they, them to you. Just clarify that. What are you doing with that?
So
extra
two things.
Identification.
Two things. One, just putting one's own pronouns after one's name lets people know which pronouns you'd like to be called. And so there's two different things going on here. Why did I choose they, them, and why did I put pronouns out? So
yes.
I'm interested in the second.
Okay. So why I chose they, them, let's go with first, and it's
why you choose?
Because I choose they, them because it fits for me. It feels like the right thing to do.
But you're one person. You're not plural person.
No, correct. I am one being.
Right.
So let's get to both parts of it. Why they, them, and then why put pronouns. Why they, them? I don't. I mean, the same way that I just can't get my head around one religious practice being right. It's not the same exactly, but I don't see that there's a binary. The idea of male and female and then nothing in between doesn't work for me. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't resonate with it. So I've chosen they, them. As to the second point, which was the one, is why did I bother putting it out there at all? Why? So let me put it this way instead, Michael. If I asked you to if you put he, him after your name, you're making it easier for people who. Let's put it. Let me try it this way.
It's a gender identification. So,
yeah.
I mean, are you saying that you're tolerant, basically, of all people with all genders and religious points of view?
I'm afraid so.
Is this so? It's a statement of
solidarity,
personal identity, and the level of toleration that you're capable of,
and a solidarity as well.
So what you're challenging conversation with
it. Yes, and Betsy, go ahead. And thank you guys for having this conversation. This is important to have.
I just saw another big thing that this is going to lead to eventually. I mean, calling your children, my son and my daughter, and niece and nephew, and aunt and uncle, and those things, there may need to be non-gender things for, I mean, you can say my child.
Right, and for niece and nephew, there's the lovely word, and it's one of my favorite new words. You might not know it.
Nibbling.
Nibbling.
Yeah.
Nibbling.
Oh, I love this.
Isn't that a juicy, yummy word?
Nibbling.
Yeah.
Nibbling.
Now,
nibbling
cousin is a wonderful word because it does not specify gender.
Right.
It's that means niece or nephew.
Yes.
Correct. Or whatever.
I never heard of that.
Well,
it's a whole new language we're dealing with now.
It's a play on
the evolution of language. Language does that.
Right. Thank you for.
This is not new.
Hold on 1 second. Rags, say that again. Say that again, please.
This is evolution of language.
Right.
Yes.
It's language. If you've studied language, if you've read anything over, written over the last centuries, you just see how language evolves and changes as society changes, as thought changes. And it's just that we're calling a lot of attention to it, and some of it's intentional, but it's very normal. It is neither new nor weird.
Correct. It's weird to us.
It is because it's change. We're in the midst of change, and change is uncomfortable.
Okay. So
go ahead. It seems to me the agent of this may have other things in mind. Who knows? It's so complicated.
Right. And that goes back to where I started this morning, which is if I got to choose what persona I have today, I wanted to choose easy and curious. If I got to pick how I was, and curious is like, oh, isn't that interesting? Find out how that's going to happen. Like, who knows?
Yeah. So if nieces and nephews are nibblings, does that mean your aunt and uncle are pibblings?
We do have a.
I think that is an extra term.
There's a uncle. We can't say Uncle Hez's name properly, but the kids have an Uncle Hez. That one does not come off the tongue.
My uncle.
Very easily.
My uncle.
Right. No, as an ankle.
Yeah, uncle sounds good.
This is why people are buying guns. You realize? They get lost. We've been lost in translation here.
Yeah.
You know?
Let me bring us back for a sec. So thank you for this discussion. I appreciate that, and also I want to say hi to my Aunt Ellen, who's there. Hi, Aunt Ellen.
Hi, Bri.
Good to see you, honey. That's called nepotism, folks, and you know what? Christianity is based on it.
Oh, you have to throw that in.
I thought that was funnier than the reaction I got, but it's all right. All right, I have a little syllogism here. We're going to get to that. So here's a question, and this was in the intro to the service today. If I know, and I admitted last week that Emmett, when he makes seltzer in the machine and you have to push the button to make it go foof, I admitted last week that my son makes the seltzer absolutely wrong. He foofs it 6 or 7 times where 4 is the maximum required, thereby wasting 3 foofs sometime in my patience. And I know I'm insane, right? I know that, like, I can't get mad at him for that, but I'm getting mad at him for that. And I wrote about him putting the dishes down and putting the dish next to the sink, not in the sink. I also want to mention I got a number of people trying to be helpful, telling me how to better parent my child based off of what I had written there. And I'm being gracious and thanking those people for giving me their advice.
You're welcome.
Okay, good. Wasn't naming names, but thank you, Bob.
Are you taking the advice?
I'm taking my own at the moment, and it's wow. Okay, hold on a second. I just got startled there. Here's the question. Oh, John, you have your hand up. Go ahead, and then I'll come. Do you mean to have your hand up?
Well, I did if we're still talking about the dishes in the sink. If you're moving past that, then I'll put my hand back down.
No, I was going to continue about the dishes in the sink. Were you going to give me advice on how to parent by any chance?
I was going to ask you a question.
Okay, let's try that.
What would happen if the dishes that are beside the sink, obviously, if they're not in the sink, they don't need to be cleaned, so just give them back to them at the next meal, the way they are.
That's going to fall under the larger category of telling me how to parent. Amusing idea, but I not what I'm doing. Okay, thank you. Let's go back to the question I had. So the question I have about this is, if I know that he's going to do it, and I'm watching him from the kitchen table, I'm watching him put the dishes where I know it's going to annoy me. When he puts the dish on the counter next to the sink, I somehow feel more justified in being mad because I could say to him, I knew you were going to do that. And
he could say to you, I did it because I knew you did it.
Let me finish my thought.
Okay.
Oh.
If I knew that that's what he was going to be doing, I think rationally that I should have then prepared myself for what he was going to do in a wiser way than upping my anger. If I knew he was going to do that and I get angry, that's on me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
If I knew he was going to do that, I should have gotten myself in prepare calming technique station number 42, or, I think it's on me for getting angrier. It's definitely on me for getting angrier. It's on me for getting angry if I knew he was going to do it. And so let me ask you, in your life, are you doing the same thing, and can you switch it around?
Good question.
Thank you, Michael.
And
And Ellen had her hand up.
Go ahead, Alan. Alan?
Brian, did you ever think to
Aunt
say,
Ellen, I apologize. Go ahead, Aunt Ellen.
did you ever think to say, please put the dishes in the sink? That would eliminate your anger.
Ellen, actually, I did. I did tell him to put the dishes in the sink. What I didn't do was say it in a calm voice.
Ah.
If I had said it in a calm voice, right? I think you're totally onto something there, Aunt Ellen.
Calm down, take a deep breath, good couple of deep breaths.
Right.
And say, could you please put the dishes in the sink?
Right. If I'm going to tell him to put the dishes in the sink when I'm in a bad mood, it's not going to go well.
No.
We all understand what's going on.
But you need to control the mood.
I can control some of it.
I know with teenagers.
Yeah, you had.
I had 3.
And so everyone should know they all babysat for me.
Yeah. So. John puts the dishes in the sink now.
Oh, good. He's old enough.
Yes, he is. At 58, he's learned.
Well played. Hold on, Alan. Let me go to John and then Al and then Nancy Joe. Glad to hear from you.
Simple technique. Take your sails out of his wind.
Oh, shit. That's good. Take your sails out of his wind.
Yeah.
Yep.
Folks, how many of you think that that's going to be one of the 2 bullet summaries of today's service?
Yeah, get that one down. Get that down.
Take your sails out of
their wind.
Oh, I was going to fix it.
Their wind, thank you.
Their wind.
Extra points for everyone on that one. Well played. Al and then Nancy Joe.
Yeah, I was just curious. Can you accept that even if you didn't know that he was going to put the dish outside of the sink, the anger is still yours?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with him.
Whose side are you on? Are you on his side? No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. The anger is never right.
No, it's not that it's never right, but you own it.
The anger is always right in a lot of ways.
Right.
It's
we have to talk then. Maybe we'll get to talking about the different ways of doing anger properly. But hold on to that. Thank you, Al. Nancy Joe, thank you. Go ahead. I feel like an AM talk show host.
I am simply curious why he puts it outside the sink instead of inside. I mean, I don't know. Have you ever asked him?
Oh, Nancy Joe. No, I haven't asked him.
Well, because I know, like, for me, I use everything plastic. Even though I'm 69, I'm always so afraid I'm going to break dishes. Yeah. But at my daughter's house, when I'm there and I help, I don't like to put things in the sink because I'm afraid someone will come along and throw a fork in or a glass in or whatever, and something can break. And so in my mind, it's really considerate not to put something in the sink if it's breakable. But anyway, that's all about me. And we're not talking about that. I'm just really just plain old curious.
Yeah. He's not thinking about what's in the sink either. I can promise you that. Okay.
He's just fulfilling his task in life, which is to piss his father off as much as possible.
So here's the thing. I don't think he's trying. I really don't think he's trying to. I think he's a 16-year-old boy whose frontal cortex is completely rewiring, and it's just what does. Yeah, Ray, you have your hand up.
Yeah, it would seem to me that it's improper anger at the wrong person.
Oh, we're going to get to that.
The wrong reason. Yes. In the wrong amount.
Let's get to that. But I got one thing I want to do first. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Just say hello. Glad you guys are here. I sometimes have this. Sometimes. Well, anyway, it's just good to see you all. Let me just say that. I'm glad that you decided to spend this time together. Here's a imagine. I wrote this in a letter to James. If you don't know, James is a dear friend of mine who I've only met once due to life circumstances. I wrote, dude, hello, how have we known each other for so long? What a unique relationship we have. And then he and I are working on a class, a correspondence class. And so here's what my thinking was. Imagine we are not here. So I'm going to ask you guys the same way that I asked James to read this to other people. So just see how this goes. Imagine we are not here where we are, but we're on some cosmic holodeck. And we're at a music academy in a room filled with French horns, the least easy to learn of the brass instruments. And thank you for laughing. I thought that was much funnier than most of you thought was funny. And in this magic world, I did my best to love learners learning, to minimize shame, and to encourage growth. I would show you and the group how to hold the instrument with your right hand inserted into the bell, and I would explain what each finger on the left hand does. What would you want to do next? Why, blow, of course. Make a noise. And do you think for a moment that I would shame you for not doing it well? No.
Oh.
Of course not. Do you think you and your fellows would be of good cheer when you sounded a cacophony of absolute terrible noise?
Yeah.
Would you imagine, and would anyone who was there imagine that they wouldn't be bad? I imagine there would be some laughter, some of which masked the collective realization of the magnitude of the task that lays ahead. There's a carriage return, so there's a little break. With any task that you aren't a level 5 near perfect at doing, is shame warranted? I'll ask that again because we're reading it. With any task that you aren't a level 5 near perfect at doing, is shame warranted? Allow me to answer. No. My friend, I would love to teach you something that I know about love, some things that I know about love. Because really, what else is there that matters? Now you might be slightly embarrassed that you aren't a level 5 near perfect at loving, either loving yourself or loving others. I say no need for shame. That can be our first lesson.
Oh, Harley agreed.
There's no need for shame, even if you are level 5.
There's no need for shame. Go ahead, Bob. Thank you, Joe.
I'm someone in the same line, same thing as Joe. Does shame induce anything positive?
Sometimes internalized shame works because it will keep me from doing something that I know is bad. If I shame myself, I had an horrible angry outburst at my family. I scared me. The shame that I feel is wonderful because it's keeping me from doing that again.
Did you feel shame or embarrassment?
But you do it again.
I haven't yet done it again, but I had done it previous to the time before, and it's horrible. It happens. Yeah, I feel shame or embarrassment. I'm not sure the difference. I just know I didn't like the feeling. I felt bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ron.
The only issue is that as years go by and you think of that, and you still feel the shame and never forgive yourself.
No. I'm not. I don't have that. I forgive myself, but the shame does serve to keep me from doing it again.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying. So, folks, hi.
Hi.
Still me.
Hi.
Hi, guys. Here's the task. We have a choice in this service, in this time we have together. I can teach you all how to derive the quadratic formula.
Okay.
Oh,
It is an amazing, like when you derive the quadratic formula and you see really what it is, it's beautiful. So we can learn that, or we can talk about love.
Let's talk about love.
Love, please.
Love, please.
Now, look, we'd rather do the love. Did anyone for the quadratic equation? Yeah. We'll do that afterwards, Patricia. You and me. All right.
I learned it a couple times, but I've forgotten it.
It's right, and to me, I used to make all of my students derive it. I said, I don't care if you could learn it to Yankee Doodle Dandy. I could teach a parrot to learn a tune. No, I couldn't. Well, maybe I could. They live a long time. Anyway,
I think there's
Nancy Joe, and then I'll come back.
Yeah. Before we move on, I am still hanging on to, I feel unfinished about Molly and Marissa. So yes, it's courtesy to call her, what's the new name, Molly?
Molly.
Yes, it's courtesy to call her Molly. But if I don't, or in this case, her father refuses to call her that and calls her Marissa, does she get to be courteous and allow him to do that? And then, of course, I'm making the analogy directly to the they, them, who we've all seen a lot of eruption of terrible anger. And of course, that's about the movement of transgender, not about the pronouns.
Correct.
And I'm leaving this open-ended, but it's open-ended in my mind because I have a brother. I guess I'm not done.
Okay,
I have
keep
a brother that when he was 35 years old, we were raised Jewish, but just more by race. You know, we ate the holidays at home and then we went to shul on the high holidays, right? But we were Jews through and through, went through the Holocaust, the whole 9 yards, right? So my brother, when he was age 35, and he was going to marry a woman who was not Jewish. So, you know how the parents insist she converts. So he went to conversion classes with her. And instead of her converting, my brother converted to be Orthodox. And then he changed his name to Baruch. And he is now 77 years old. He has moved to Israel. That was only about 7 years ago, but he's got a wife and 2 kids. He's got a white beard down to his belly button. He wears the black hat and the black suits, lives in a gated community for Hasidism, etc., etc. So when he first changed his name from Mark to Baruch, he got a lot of ridicule. And some of us still to this day, you know, like his siblings, we call him Mark or we call him Baruch, and he's not so angry about it anymore. But when he first made the change, he was very, very angry and felt disrespected when people called him Mark instead of Baruch. So that's why I think I'm still stuck on this subject of Molly and Marissa and respect. And I'm done talking.
Okay. It's often when people come from a one down position, it is usual that they find some of that anger on their way out. That's how people are built. That's what we do. Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to just try to go maybe philosophical. You started in the pre-program about Well, in this service, you started out what with the certificate of ritual that you put up, and I just want to say that I think there's value in going into like the quadratic equation of the nature of this group, the value in thinking about that certificate that you wrote. How do you get to that? And I would just recommend, and what's most interesting to me is the uniqueness of this religious form that we're doing.
Yeah.
Because you are a rabbi, you have the certifications. To say religion is irrelevant in the United States of America.
Not saying that.
No, to say that.
Yeah.
Would be to be delusional in some ways in terms of the reality of our culture and what brings people to this table
right
here. So I would just offer the notion of this group as a religion is exploring the boundaries of toleration.
Yeah.
That's the rabbit hole I'm going down here.
So, and Michael, to echo and to pre-echo what you're saying, this is where I want us to all to go. I was having a long discussion with Afia before this service, before today.
Exploring the boundaries of tolerance.
Yeah. Exploring the boundaries
that could be the second bullet point.
Yeah, we're exploring. We'll find out. Yeah, Rita, go ahead.
I was told once a definition of Reform Judaism that I don't know if it's true or not, but it's what I love. And that is that I observe that part of the tradition that is meaningful to me. Mm-hmm. That's what a Reformed Jew does. And that to me is what religion outside the box is. I don't know if Reformed Judaism, it's kind of taken a few turns.
They're trying to become, my movement is trying to become a better conservative Judaism.
Yeah, it's going in the other direction.
Right. But, so this is the one that goes to the left.
We are what's left.
Yeah.
This is the one that
put, yes.
I like that.
The others.
And it allows a freedom to believe, to observe what you want.
Folks,
what the fact meaningful to you.
Yes, thank you, Rita. In the same way that the certificates on the wall mean something, the fact, and Michael, this is going more to the here and now part, the fact that we've outsourced the Shekinah group, like we can talk about God, but that's not during the service. That has a meaning too. That's a really fascinating thing that we as a group came up with. Okay, I want to go
one
back.
Other thing I want to say is Reform Judaism is only a mere example.
Thank you, Michael. Yes.
Of the philosophy that exists, potentially universally, for those who are not committed to the ultra traditional theo-supernatural system.
Right.
And so this is not limited. If this was limited to something that Judaism came up with,
no. And that's when we see
in its traditional form, that would be highly mistaken. But certainly in the evolution of religion, it portends the potential for reform within the Jewish iteration of culture.
Michael, I got a little bit lost, and I'm going to apologize.
I'm just trying to say, don't think this is some uniquely Jewish form.
I don't think anybody has.
It was fleshed out by a Jewish philosopher who was marginalized in his own community for doing this.
That's not me. That's
not Brian.
No. Let me hear from. I got some hands who we haven't seen from before. Let me go with Anne.
I liked what you said earlier when you were asking why you run the service without talking about God or any Hebrew, but you equated it to your diplomas, because your diplomas, what matters is what is behind the diplomas. It's the education that you value. It's not the diploma itself.
Correct.
The same way like that is a good analogy for what you're doing here. Is you value what's rooting all the religions,
right?
So it's what's behind it. It's getting deeper,
right? And
so I like that analogy with the diploma.
Thank you, Anne. And it's getting us towards love, right? It's that thing attributed to St. Francis: preach the gospel often, use words only when necessary.
Yep.
Is we're really, as long as we're focused. Ron and then Nancy, Joe, and I want to keep going.
Universalism appears everywhere, but it's really about metaphor. We think in terms of metaphor. And I think that by being a universalist, I am allowing and encouraging others to use their own metaphor, not mine.
There's many, many paths up the mountain, or as my teacher Nagi said, same shit, different shovels.
Or maybe even different mounts.
Oh, I like that. Well played. Nancy, you got something you still got to add in?
Yeah, well, it is tolerance. And what little you know about me, and we've exchanged some communication, love and tolerance are the same thing. Once you put a label on it, no matter what it is or how free the label sounds or anything, it becomes a box again. But all I was going to say is back when my brother did that thing of going to the yeshiva and all the universities and all the degrees and getting the label of rabbi, and everybody says to me, oh, he's a rabbi, what's his congregation? And I'm like, no, the first thing my brother taught me is that the word rabbi means teacher. So therefore, we are all, whether we know it or not, teachers.
Amen.
So, amen.
We are all ministers.
But you don't all have the fancy certificate. I'm sorry about that.
Amen.
All right, wait. I'm going to do some announcements now. Hi, people. Let me just do a little check-in again. See your faces.
Oh.
Hi. Announcements. First announcement, always to announce, and there it is. It's okay not to be okay. You might remember that. Hey, you're having a hard time? Yeah. You know what? You're having a hard time. That sucks. It's okay to have a hard time. And sometimes when we're having a hard time, we even forget what it feels like to not be having a hard time. And that's just how it goes. I'll try to get my camera to focus again. There we go. It's okay not to be okay. If you would like to make contributions to Religion Outside the Box to help, James is selling candy bars at Pelican Bay, and we fronted him a lot of candy bars. And if you would like to help him he's running self-help groups there. And if you'd like to, candy bars it's just the currency, and it's a way he can get people to show up and get things happening. Oh, I got some book announcements to make. Hold on. 62 days until the book launch party on July 22nd. That's very exciting. I just sent the book off to the editor on Tuesday, and I talked with her again on the 1st. I'm really excited. I got to do something. This is going to sound funny, and it really is. But I got to do something recently. So I was editing the book after Erin had sent it to me. She put notes in the margins. I went through all of the notes she made, fixed a few things, and then I got to do something that I never thought about authors doing, which is I got to read my book for the first time. Because I'd never read it before, because it hadn't existed. And so I read, made corrections as I read it, but I held the whole thing in my head as one piece, and it's really good.
Right.
It's really good. Like, it's not at awesome, amazing, great yet, but it's good right now. And fortunately, a lot of people publish a lot of crap, so this will look even better. So that's good. Other announcements. Oh, wrong button. Don't do that. Hold on. Oh, there we are. Book announcement. I did that. If you want to get more involved, we have a Shekinah group that meets talking about God. We have a playhouse if you want to be involved. There's the clubhouse is coming along so nicely. If you come to the Tuesday office hours, we will be doing a tour of that. If you've never been to a 12-step group, Religion Outside the Box has a 12-step for everyone. If you put your email in the chat and say which of the things you want to be more involved in, you can be more involved in any one of them. Just put your email in the chat and say God group, or put your email in the chat and say Playhouse, or email in the chat 12-step group or office hours, anything that you want to be informed about. And then if you are one of the people who sees those things in the chat, would you please get in touch with those people and make sure they're not left hanging? That would be really awkward. Okay. If you are a donor to Religion Outside the Box in 2023, if you have been a donor in 2023, you should have received one of these or more than one of these. If you did not, please let me know. This is one of the best things I have ever made. What is it? Oh, it's just a little patience, because, people need patience. So I was very glad to come up with this crazy idea. If you have been a donor to Religion Outside the Box and not yet received one of these, or I did ask people, I would love to send it to you. Tell me if you'd want it. And if you didn't, please email me. Or put something in the chat and just say, Rabbi Brian, I need my patience now. And I'll make sure that you get that. Announcements we did. Oh, we had homework from last week, folks. I don't know if you remember this. And if you didn't do it, you're still a good person. Don't worry about that. Our homework was to try not to control others so much. How'd anyone do? Anyone have a war story they want to tell about their victory or failure at not controlling others?
Have anything to do with putting dishes in the sink?
Possibly. So you know what? I will take that one. I will take that and I'll run with it, Ellis. I am proud of myself for not getting angrier than I was because I knew he was going to do the thing. I'm proud of myself for not being it was right in front of me. It seemed like a really easy, logical thing to say, God damn it, Emmett, those dishes. And I didn't. So I'm gonna take that, and then I'm just gonna serve his food straight on the table today. Because I'm not gonna do that. You know why? Because then I have more mess to clean up. And that's just silly. Anyone else have something they want to report in about not controlling others or being proud of?
Could use a paper plate.
Yes.
Is that the same? Because I had down for the homework was trying not to correct others based on principle.
Yes. Right. That is where that came from. That was about Annie. So the two things, they got mixed in together. That was about Annie and her multitasking. No, Dad, I'm not multitasking. I'm tritasking. Hold on a sec. Yeah, that was not controlling, not over teaching. I see those as pretty closely related. No, you got a story about either one of them, then, Maria?
Well, I mean, I have done that several times this week. It isn't a big story, but just with with perhaps family who's downstairs right now.
Yeah. Who happened to be your mother, or
who happens to be my mother.
Yeah.
There have been, there's been times this week where I just, haven't said anything, sort of thing, right? Or I've thought about saying something
and
then just said, you know what, I don't need to. Like, it's
good for you. And did you find that there was any? Did that add ease? Did that add discomfort? Did that make it better or worse? I mean, of course, we don't know, but
I think a bit more ease.
Okay.
Right. I don't need to do this sort of thing. And you know, I don't know that it made a difference for my mom. It may have made her happier too, for all I know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I did that this week too. My daughter-in-law is changing everything in my kitchen. All the cupboards and drawers, everything's changed. And every time I go in the kitchen, I can't find anything.
Emily, I am with you. I had a sister-in-law once do me the favor while I was out and reorganize my kitchen.
Yeah.
That was one of those where they didn't understand why I wasn't thankful or why I was angry. I feel you, Emily.
Well, in our cases, it's actually gotten funny because there's so many changes. It's gotten to be a joke. I just sort of stand there at the kitchen door and say, I don't know where it is.
I love that attitude towards it. And to be fair to me, this thing with my sister-in-law, this was years ago, and I think I would hope that today I would have more of the light and joy about it. Like, oh my God, isn't this ridiculous? That's that light curiosity. I love that you have that, Emily. Did you have that your whole life? Would you not have gotten your britches in a biscuit?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. We just make a joke out of it now. She does all the cooking, so I don't have to cook anymore.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
A sense of humor has gotten me through so many problems.
Yes, that's.
It's the saving grace, is what I think of.
Absolutely, yeah. That is grace.
Absolutely,
it is grace. So I started this service, and I talked about if you were going through a Rolodex of different who you want to be in the world, how you want to come out today. And I think with a sense of humor is going to be, I'm going to stick with, I want ease and a sense of humor today.
Yeah.
We don't have the most time in the world, but we have enough time for every person who's on this call to say what 2 words they would like to be today. You don't have to go, but I'd love to hear from you. Just with the thinking that if we put it out there, it's a better chance of it happening. Can't guarantee that, but it seems to make some sense. So I'd like some curiosity and some humor today. You see, and I just said that, and immediately in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm going to find some of that.
Yeah.
So let's go. I'm going to quickly name a name, unmute. I don't think we have the power to unmute all. So unmute yourselves, unless you know you're in a loud place. And Joe, pick 2 words, 3 words. What do you want to be this week?
3 words. Joy, calm, hopeful.
Amen. Ron.
Love, kind, and caring.
Amen. Anne.
I want humor and peace.
Amen. Alex.
Well rested and unstressed.
Wonderful. Moja. Think you're frozen, my friend. All right, let go. Meg. What do you want, Meg?
Curious, relax, and create.
Oh, you got and creative again. Good. Michael.
Yeah.
Authentic, calm, and grateful.
Amen. John. John, we couldn't hear you due to some technical difficulty. I don't know why. Rags. Whenever your mic's on again, just talk, John. Rags.
Humor and hope.
Say it again. Human?
Humor and hope.
Humor and hope. Amen. Derek.
Serene, happy, and peaceful.
Amen. Maria.
Oh, sorry. You caught me.
It's all right.
You caught me off guard.
It's a tough game.
I'll take other people's. I like the humor and the curiosity
Amen.
and the peace.
Curiosity today. Harold and then Connie.
Calm, order, and humor.
Love and creativity.
Wonderful. Gord.
I'll go with kind and grounded.
Sari.
Calm, focused, and positive.
Amen. Ray.
Peaceful and compassionate.
Bob. I love all these.
Love, patience, and hope.
Ellis.
Kind, loving, and caring.
Amen. Al, what do you want to have show up today?
Serenity.
Amen.
I'll take
Candace?
some serenity.
What do I want to happen today? Peace, kindness, and friendship.
Amen. Anne. Thank you, Candace.
You got me.
Oh, we had another Anne. Anne Swanson.
The other Anne.
Authentic, discerning, and kind.
Bruce. Beautiful.
Curiosity, humor, and I forgot.
I think it was memory. Emily.
Very good.
Emily, what do you have, my friend?
What they said.
Amen. Aaron.
Moo.
That's a good answer. Very Buddhist. Patricia.
That's what I'll go for.
Understanding, optimistic, and once again, and a memory. Yeah.
And a memory. I love it. That's an important one. Eileen.
I liked Alex's well rested, grateful, and peaceful.
Linda.
Patient, kind, and understanding.
Amen. Michael.
The other Michael.
Internal and unapproachable.
Oh, wow. Good ones. Betsy.
Confident and grateful.
Rita.
Love, light, and laughter.
Amen.
Amen.
Joy, I don't know if your connection's on. I don't think so. Gord, we did. Greg.
Persistent and surviving.
Amen. Nancy. Oh, we're getting too much noise going from somewhere there. Alex, any thank you.
Yeah, I got it.
Thank you.
Took me a second to figure out the culprit.
Anyone else who hasn't gone who wants to?
Nancy Joe says consistent, giving, receiving.
Amen. Folks, I'm also going to go with patient. I forgot to do our prayer list. We got to 9 o'clock. Time just kind of flew by on me today. I'm going to make the decision that if you got to go, go. But let's read through the prayer list. Joe, you have the names of people?
Maria.
Maria does. I apologize. Maria, you have a list of people.
I do. These are the names for today. Rob B., Rita S., Francis, Lois Lopez, Karen, Bill, and Sandy, Robert Siegel, Ann Siegel, and Mara, Hannah Botfrida, April, Michelle, Krista, Robin, and Rebecca, Jim, JJ, and R, Jennifer Dobbs, the Cook family, Bill, Elizabeth, and Vicky, Mary Wolf, Al Vasnick in spirit, Esther and Danny Sullivan, Kat, Irene in memory, Marilyn, Lois Weiner, Virginia Bridgman, Helen Tevlin, Michael Eaton, Helen Krayneck, and Lori. If there is another person in our community we can offer light and love to, please put their name in the chat and I will add them to the list in the clubhouse. And for the people who aren't named, but who are in our thoughts, we send them light and love as well.
So let's sit for a minute of time as a group, starting now. Well, I thank everybody very much. I'm going to stop the recording if you'd all wave to the people who are watching this later or at home.